Japanese influence abounds in this year's Kentucky Derby. Derma Sotogake is the one everybody's talking about. Continuar's here as well. Eddie Olczyk, what do we make of this international invasion?
Well, look, as a handicapper, and I'm not embarrassed to say this because I think we all have strengths and weaknesses, and or at least we all think we do. We have strengths.
We all have weaknesses. The strengths are debatable.
That is true. But I will say this: is that I've always had a difficult time for horses that have never run here in the States. You know, the eye test of knowing who they've run against in the competition, so to speak. I mean, look at
right.
if Mandarin Hero finished second in the Santa Anita Derby would happen to run, I'd sit there and say, boy, oh boy, you know what? Like at least I know and I have a feel of the competition and the style and being inside and then just trying to work himself out in solid competitiveness. I can compare that to something. So for Jeremy, I don't know how you feel about that, but for me, until a Japanese horse or a European horse comes and hits the board and then maybe I get a better gauge on that. So usually I give it the old Texas El Paso when it comes to those type of horses.
Look, these two work together. We're talking Continuar, third in the UAE Derby, and then Derma Sotogake, the horse who won the UAE Derby. They worked together earlier this week at Churchill Downs, and it was a no match. I mean, at the wire, Continuar was no moss, and it was driving on for Derma Sotogake. He looks like the stronger of the two, and he looked very strong in winning the UAE Derby. But we've heard that tale before, like you said. Right. And until we see it here in the Kentucky Derby, there's going to be some doubts.
Would you use the horse, Jeremy?
Because of the pace situation, I don't think there's a lot of speed in this race. Okay. Kingsbarn's the only horse who made the lead in a major prep in the U.S. This horse went wire to wire in the UAE Derby, and he just worked really fast.
Right.
I think pace-wise puts him in the discussion. Okay. Most years you wouldn't talk about an international horse being part of the lead pace. Right. I think that's what makes him a little bit different.
Right. Okay. Well, some horse to use underneath maybe for your selections up on top.
When you play the Kentucky Derby this year, be sure to do it with XpressBet and FirstBet.